So welcome, everybody, to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. Today's Thursday, July the 13th. July the 13th. I said that kind of weird. 2022. And our calling number is 563-999-3581. And press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And we'll give Michael just a minute to get dialed in. And like I said, thank you for a couple people said that the recordings were a little bit strange, but glad that you stuck with us through that. And we'll give Michael just a minute to dial in. And I see a hand's already up, and I believe it's Julie Matthews, 541. You're on the air. How you doing?
Hi, I'm fine. I just heard you say 999, and I wanted to say that I heard that the 3 longest prayers in the Bible are from 3 books that are all chapter 9s.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, the longest one, I'm trying to get this, I wrote it down. The longest one is Nehemiah 106. And then
Nehemiah 1:6?
106.
Oh, okay.
And then another one is Psalms 78. Okay. Why don't I have this? Hold on. Not true. Wait. Darn, I only have partial information. Okay, the 3 books that are chapter 9, that's probably what I have here, are Ezra, Daniel, and Nehemiah. And Nehemiah is the longest. That's what I know for sure.
Okay.
I remember then the minister went on to quote some things similar in other books, but those are the ones. And so they're prayers. And so, listening to what the prayers really are about, through the ears of the brain cells we have now is probably a good exercise. And I haven't done that exercise yet. But I like
that'll
that
be something to look into. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm glad Michael's back, and he's well, I hope, and I'll just sign off for now.
So am I, and I'm rocking.
Good.
Awesome.
So what is the practice we're going to enter into? I apologize, I didn't catch the first few words you said.
She heard me say 999, and it just clicked a remembrance for her.
Oh.
It's the 3, Michael. Cool. Oh, can you hear me?
Say it again.
Oh, it's the 3 longest prayers in the Old Testament are in the 3 books of Ezra,
Uh-huh.
And then Daniel, and then Nehemiah, and they're all chapter 9s. And the longest one is the Nehemiah. It's the longest one. So yeah, I'm going to read up on that.
And a good thing to remind yourself of, because remember, Vladimir Lenin says if we change the meaning of a word, we can destroy a culture by doing that. And if we want a culture of prayer, we really need to use that word accurately. And it doesn't mean put out an order to the cosmic gift catalog and tell God what God should be doing. That's actually the request, the invitation to the Creator to provide something is a petition. Remember, prayer in Aramaic is to set a trap for God. And you remember they said, there'll come a time when your whole life will become a prayer. It's like, well, geez, that mean I'm down on my hands or down on my knees with my hands folded my whole life? I mean, how am I going to eat? But when you realize that when you become the space, when you become aligned and become the space where love shows up, you're now in prayer, the Aramaic meaning of the word. The other is a petition. Making a request is a petition. And just so that we can remember that, so the goal is to continuously be that energy space where, just like your radio tuner, if you're listening late at night to your radio, you'll notice that the fine tuning on it, if you get it off just a little fraction, you don't get that station, or another one comes in on top of it. You have to really align the radio in order to get that station to come in, especially on the AM dial. And so when we remember that to be the space, to be aligned and to be the space where active love shows up is what prayer really is. And that if we want to get to the point where our whole life becomes that, we need to be, we need to frame and set goals to stay in alignment and heal with out of alignment. If we think it's a petition, then, that's going to just go by the wayside. We're going to forget it. So just a little refinement there.
Yes. And I think it'll be interesting to see if we can hear with those ears as, reading the the 3 chapters of prayer.
The 3 chapters of petition, you mean?
Yes. Well, we'll see what they might have known these things or intuited them. They might be there. Since Hebrew and everything kind of stems from Aramaic. Maybe they did get it. I don't know yet. I haven't read them.
But remember that if you're petitioning, if you're going to petition a king, you're making a request. If these are about making a request, then they're a petition.
Yes.
Something different then. So just enjoying you and staying in alignment. And I know you're working on that and about that. That's awesome.
I'm thinking that perhaps I'm getting an intuition that maybe they did make their requests in sort of a petition-like way, but the kinds of requests were of the harmony of what you're speaking of, setting trap or being in alignment with God.
Absolutely. That I think that's the single petition to make. Is just that line in the Aramaic, what's called the Lord's Prayer, and everybody thinks it's a prayer, and they repeat and repeat. And Yeshua specifically said, don't repeat and repeat. That's not what it's about. It's not about coming from your intellect or your mind or memorization. But there's a line there that says, carve out a space for me. Carve out a space in me for your wholeness. And so to really, that's, to me, like every night before I go to sleep, it's like, show me, what do I need to heal? What do I need to deal with? What can my dreams teach me? And keep me in alignment with being that space.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm done for now. I just want to hear you go on with whatever goes on.
Well, thank you for bringing that up, and I'm going to go back and read those 3 passages.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. All right. Well, you have a blessed one.
We'll align later. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
And we have another hand up, and I think that it is Miss Magda, 828. You're on the air.
Hello, my dear friends.
Hi. Hey there, young lady.
Hi.
Good to hear your voice. You sound bright and chipper.
I'm working on it, yeah. We have sunshine today, so I just have a shorty here because I want to listen to other people who call in and get your wonderful assistance. And my shorty is about what you, the recording that you played on Tuesday, and for whatever reason, I do not remember ever hearing it before. Although I've heard the content, I don't think I've heard the interview, and that may be true and it may not be.
Was that the interview with me or Bruce Lipton?
Yeah. Monday was with Bruce Lipton, and Tuesday was with you. Michael, adjust your microphone. You're Darth Vader breathing.
Okay. All right. That better?
And who was doing the interview on Tuesday?
Both of those were Mitchell Rabin.
Mitch Rabin. They
and
were both done by
the
same.
DVD called MindBody Bio.
Okay.
MindBody Bioenergetics. And I was talking to someone the other day. Someone called me after they listened to it. It's like, wow, that was good stuff. And it kind of, gave me the space to go back and reconnect with that. About 18 or 19 years ago, I was in New York City, and someone referred me to Mitch Rabin. And I talked to him and went to his studio. We did a TV interview. And afterward, after he listen to what I had to say. He's like, do you know Bruce Lipton? I said, no, I'd never heard of him at that point. So, well, you and Bruce Lipton are doing the same work. And I said, well, who is Bruce Lipton? He's a cell biologist. And I can't believe a cell biologist is doing the same thing as I'm doing. That just doesn't make sense. So he gave me a copy of his interview and permission to reproduce it. So a short time after that, I went back to him after listening to Bruce's interview, and it's like, yeah, my mind is boggled. Have you got a contact phone number for him? And he gave me Bruce's number. I called Bruce Lipton, and Bruce Lipton answered the phone. It was his cell phone, and said, hi, my name's Michael Ryce, and I got your number from, Michael Ryce. He said, you wrote, why is this happening to me again? Yeah, how do you know that? He said, well, I was just in Boulder, Colorado, doing a conference there, and a woman came up and handed me your book, and I'm sitting reading it right now. So it's like interesting serendipity.
Indeed. Wow.
Pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, those were two incredible back-to-back interviews. And how do you spell the interviewer's name, please?
Mitch, M-I-T-C-H, Rabin, R-A-B, I believe it's I-N.
It is, R-A-B-I-N.
Oh,
he
cool.
He still does the TV show called The Better World.
Oh, that's great. Well, I thought the interview was just terrific. And again, I've heard all the content, but it was something about how that energy between the two of you rolled, and it was great. So thank you for playing it. Now, how old is that? When did that happen?
18, 19 years ago.
Okay.
Something in that range. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly. It could have been 15. It could have been 21. Something in that range.
A lot.
Say again?
Your voice has changed a lot since then.
That was
much
what the other person who called me about it said. My voice was a lot higher. It must have been another time.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
And I love. Do you have the DVD of that, the MindBody Bioenergetics?
Gosh, I think I probably do, but I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I think you've got them all. If you do, you might want to dig it out and watch it, because hearing the interview, particularly with Bruce, I'm thinking, is seeing it's a whole different experience than hearing it. And one of the things I enjoyed about it is that Mitch and Bruce kind of went back and forth, like who's going to top the other sort of thing. It was like almost like they had a competition going, and watching their faces in that interview is just a hoot. It's a hoot.
That's great. Thank you for that tip. I was wondering if it's on the website, but I probably have it in a DVD here. So is it on the website, in case I don't have that?
It is on the website. People can go on the website. It's not on there as a freebie. People can go on the website and buy the DVD for that topic, MindBody Bioenergetics, or they can also buy the streaming link to it and have it, permanent link that they can go back and listen to anytime. But I think you've got the whole set of DVDs, over all these years, so you've probably got it.
Right. I know exactly where to look. Well, I'm delighted and just want to give you that feedback, and I'm glad you're back and hope that your journey was a good one.
Cool. All right. Jeannie, could you take over for a minute? I've got Michael J. calling me.
Sure. I'll do it. So good to hear your voice, Magda. Yeah, this last 3 days has been a little bit off kilter for us with Michael being gone, and then things going on with Dad. So it was just easier to play shows than to try to work around it. So.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm back.
So at this point, you're wondering about what's going to be happening next with your dad.
Yeah, there's another facility that does more physical therapy than what he's only getting like 30 minutes a day right now. And this other facility does 3 hours a day. And I'm sure they break it up, but he has to be able to do that. And so they will basically come and assess him and determine whether they'll accept him or not. And but they're sending him for some neurological testing. They believe that his Parkinson's has progressed pretty rapidly. And so anyway, we've got those things on board, but his CT scan of his stomach came back okay yesterday. And so we're just waiting to see.
Okay. It's a process, isn't it? I mean,
It is. And if they won't accept him for the advanced physical therapy, because he's not getting any better as far as walking or sitting or anything where he's at. And so if he can get into this other facility and perhaps get more workout and more therapy, then he might improve. But if he doesn't pass, if they won't accept him there, then I'll be having to look for a nursing home to put him in, because we can't bring him home if he can't even sit up or feed himself, and that's the situation he's in right now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's a blessing that he has you in his life, and that you're giving him the attention he needs. So I'm just going to send all of you love and light, and know that the best possible thing will happen.
Thank you.
Please do. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay,
yeah, hold the space that he gets enough strength to do the physical therapy. Yesterday we were there, and about 30 minutes, and it was hard to even keep his attention. So we're not even sure that they'll take him where they require 3 hours a day with him, and we're not sure at this point if he's got the cognitive ability nor the physical ability to even do that. So hold the space for a miracle, for opening.
Absolutely. Okay, my dears, I will sign off and send you my love and the only love there is. And and I'll listen.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
And we have another hand up, and I believe it's Susan 610. You are on the air.
All right. Hey, we got the whole family today. All right, yay.
Hey, Michael, welcome back. Jeannie, congratulations. You're doing your juggling act again with all that's going on.
Thank you.
Feeling for you as well as for your dad. It must have been very hard not to have him know you. Does he know you now? I mean, was that just a blip?
It was yesterday morning for probably about an hour. He didn't know who I was, and then a little bit later, I was just sitting beside his bed, and he was kind of snoozing, and he didn't even remember going to the hospital and having the CAT scan. And I said, well, do you know who I am? And he goes, yeah, you're Jeannie. And I said, well, good. I said, because you didn't know me at the hospital. And he goes, oh, my God, like I was lying to him.
Oh, my God.
And
well, Jeannie,
I stayed with him until about 7 last night, so it was a long day.
Oh my goodness! No, I'm having. So he has come away from. Wait a minute. He was here all along, and you left people to watch him while you went away. Okay, got it. So you're back. And he was in the nursing home or in the NHC. Supposed to be a rehab facility, but like I said, they're only doing like 30 minutes a day with him. And while we were gone, my son went 3 days. During the week. My stepson went twice, and both of my brothers came in for a day. And so he had someone there every day, but he doesn't remember any of them coming. Whoa. Well,
yeah, his short-term memory has been a challenge for a while now.
Yeah. Boy. Well, Jeannie, on another total note, I don't know how important it is when you say the date of the show. And since it's the second hour and Tim Hayes already gave the date, but you introduced the day as July 13th.
I did?
I just...
Ouch.
I might
June, July, they're close.
I know.
January. It's one of those J months. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Well, and I think you said it twice, and by the second time I thought, uh-oh, she needs a text. So I texted you, but I don't know if you're free to look at text when you're juggling the switchboard and typing on the typewriter and answering the phone and holding the fort while Michael talks to Michael J., etc. So anyway. So, report number 2. Jeannie sent me an ARG. Okay, so I introduced your worksheet yesterday in a talk to healthcare, alternative mainly, but healthcare workers and psychiatrists. And this is Kristen Ryman's group. And initially, you and Jeannie were going to have some kind of an introductory talk with her,
right.
And that didn't pan out, and it wasn't
right.
totally necessary. I think the talk went well, and something challenging, really challenging happened. I talked about I only had an hour, which is really, so I think I talked a little fast. And I have to say,
right.
Michael, sometimes when you're reading your book, you go really fast. It's probably because you know it so well, and a lot of us know it so well, so we're running right along with you. But I'm wondering if you can just notice whether you're reading fast to get it over with or get more in or to get it across, because you're the genius behind these things. And it feels as if, to me, you feel some urgency about getting the message across, and I get that. And I didn't even mean to say all that, but I did the same thing on there. I was talking about the Aramaic forgiveness, and I was talking about how everything is in itself neutral, whatever feeling we have as a result of our thoughts and interpretations about something that happened that is in itself neutral. And then I told them the basic idea of the fact that we've got a goal, and it's the unreachable goal that causes us upset, and giving up a good goal is sometimes a great idea until you can fool around with it a bit, think into yourself, etc. What I had asked the host, Kristen Ryman, was
right.
if there's anyone among your group who might be interested in being kind of on the hot seat and do a worksheet. And she had 2 volunteers, first come, first serve. And
Sweet.
This is my mistake. Well, it should have been. Here's where it gets tough. The first customer was a woman whose upset level was a 1 out of nothing. And I should have said, how much upset do we have with the second speaker? Because I'm going to go to the person who's really got a more pressing issue, because the worksheet may be more effective. That isn't to say the first one couldn't do the work on it. So instead of doing that to the first one, I said, when you're really upset about this, how bad is it? And she said, maybe a 5. So I said, okay. We start working on the worksheet, and we go into the part where you sink into yourself, and I used Tim Hayes' pattern section on that to take a little more time in there. And she shut her eyes, and she went into it, and she just, I can relate, as you know, with the still point, I so relate to resistance, but I think what we were experiencing is an unwillingness to do that right there and right then, and maybe with the worksheet itself. But I didn't want to just dump the whole thing over. I wanted to stay with her. And I think we got somewhere. But it was hard work, and the memories she had, they weren't memories. She was conjuring up pictures in her mind that were silly. And she was saying, well, I'm picturing a bird with lots of feathers and many colors, and he's kind of silly, and he's looking at me and dancing around. And I said, is he saying anything? Is he doing anything? And I tried to keep with her, and I had to do some breathing and thinking, I have a goal of having the best presentation of this worksheet that can possibly be done. Well,
Right.
I don't think it was the best presentation, and I'm not sure how the outcome was with her. There were lots of good comments in the comments part of the Zoom, and when she finished her worksheet, which didn't last long, the second woman came on, but we only had about 15 minutes left. She had a serious issue. She jumped right into it and started doing the work, understood the goal, gave up the goal, and our time ran out. And so she is going to call me, and we're going to do the worksheet, the rest of it together, which I'm thrilled about.
Awesome.
But I just want to say, well, it is, except I have to say, when you're on the radio show day after day, it must be a big challenge sometimes to have things not go the way you had hoped, or maybe you've let go of goals. You just let it happen. But I'm appreciating the radio show all the more because I couldn't quite do it the way I wanted to. Phooey on that.
Well, I've never heard you say anything before about not doing things just right. I've never heard that come from your mouth, so that couldn't be an issue.
No, not at all. Right. Yeah. Well, yes. Okay. It was a passably okay talk. But since I was presenting your worksheet, I wanted it to be a super duper stellar excellent thing. That's not a good goal to have.
That might create a little more stress than you need. Here's the metaphor that I would come up with. We have the largest battleship in the U.S. Navy. It weighs, 1.5 million tons. And it's going at 15 knots, high speed, fast forward. How long is it going to take to turn that thing around?
Yeah.
You're talking to people who have no brain cells for Yeshua's first century Aramaic language. Mm-hmm. And so they're like that battleship, going fast forward with whatever their expertise, their knowledge, their trauma, their drama, whatever it is. And if you got that audience from that posture to just turn their heads a little bit and look at another possibility, I think your presentation was outrageously successful. Because you got the battleship to make a shift. And, I've realized over the years, and one of the reasons, and I do quite consciously and quite purposely talk fairly quickly and cover a lot of territory in response to whatever's going on. And I do that quite purposely because, especially when we were on the road traveling, I might never see 90% of the people in this room. We got a room with 100 people. I might never see 90 of them ever again in my life. I'm going to get, if I'm doing a 3.5-hour Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop, I'm going to get 3.5 hours with them. And I know they're not going to logically, rationally remember the whole workshop, but if I can help them build some brain cells and then have a taste of even the smallest shift, I consider it to be highly successful.
Oh, that's wonderful. I like that.
Because when you realize that, the major attribute of what people call thinking, the major attribute of this so-called mind, and it really isn't even a mind that people are living their lives out of. It's just a database firing off content. When you realize how massive that database is and how long people have been listening to it, to even shift their heads a little bit and go, is that possibly true? They've got some new brain cells, and I've seen it take up to 10 years for somebody to come back and go, what was that you said? They walked away, never heard from them, never saw them again, never did anything with it. But something triggered those brain cells, and I've seen people, 2 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, as long as 10 years, come back and go, tell me more about that. So if you've got some brain cells built in that audience and got them to just tip their head a little bit in a different direction, I think it was highly successful.
Oh, thanks,
now,
Michael.
would it be nice, I remember the first worksheet that we did on this show, was with a medical doctor, and she was in a tremendous amount of trauma. You know, we played that show every once in a while because it was such a powerful
Oh, I
worksheet.
remember that show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember.
And it would be nice to have every worksheet that you do with somebody be that profound, but that's not typical.
Yeah. Well, the second one on my one was headed in that direction. And it was pretty much framed out. I said, you take this, you can do a screen grab and get this sheet right onto your phone or whatever it is and print it out. And I don't know if she's doing that, but she and I are meeting tomorrow right after the show to talk. And she lives in the Pacific Coast, so it's earlier for her. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's just I'm excited to finish it out.
Nice. Did you let them know that they can download the app for free?
I told them all about. I sent around the worksheets to all of the people who were on the Zoom, and that has all of the information at the bottom about Tim Hayes' website, your website, the radio show. So cool. The information is there. Yeah.
But, you know, with the way that the app has advanced, this fourth iteration that Jeannie's done, it just gives people so much latitude to, you know, to touch into so many different areas of the work and build those brain cells. That one of the things that I would request of anybody that introduces it is to let people know you can do this on your phone and it's free and it's private, and just, you know, making that a way to move things into people's hands, and then they've got something they can play with, something they can, you know, jump on and look at. And, you know, they might look at it once and they might not look at it for a year, but if they've got it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. You
as
mean
a resource,
the Aramaic forgiveness app. Yeah.
Right.
I didn't
mention Heartland
that.
Aramaic.
I wish I had.
Yeah.
I did tell them about how you, and one of them said, gosh, there's a lot of stuff on that page. And I said, you know why? I told them about how you used to make a pile of copies, put them in the car, trying to save trees and save weight and save space, and then you'd set off around the country running your workshops, and that brought a chuckle and a recognition, and yeah, that makes sense. So anyway. Yeah,
that's why it stayed at one page.
Yeah. I said if you really are suffering, there's a large version on their website, and it's the same thing, but it's spread out. But anyway, yeah. So that's a report.
Well, that's awesome. I'm excited.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Michael.
Very
Doesn't take much to please you.
Well, no, that's a big, you know, that you could make a rational presentation to a group like that. That's pretty huge. You know, one of the things that Michelle, we did an intensive actually at Michelle Pachet's home, you know, the gal who does the switchboard on occasion.
Yeah.
And the last intensive, you know, we did one up there. And one of the things she said as a psychologist is, when this gets into the hands of psychiatry and psychology, it's going to be a revolution because it's so profoundly powerful. And and nobody's got an idea. So, you know, who knows what Rick's. That's awesome.
It's true. Yeah.
You know, you remember in the codependence intensive, Dr. John Lawrence, who's a chiropractor in Florida, was
I remember him
in the intensive, and he's been with what he's doing with supplements and such. And some of the technology he's developed as a chiropractor, he's been doing a lot of podcasts and talking to, you know, to people who have podcasts where they have 500,000 people or 200,000 people. And that's what he's doing as well, is mentioning the app, making sure the app's in front of people. Because he says in what he's come to with his work, in fact, I'm going to be flying out to spend some time with him and some people that he wants me to consult with in Los Angeles in the early part of February. But he spoke of, you know, what I see at this point is my work. What he's doing now is like a 3-legged stool, and the supplements are one of the legs. The physical work he does with people, he does things like nasal cranial release, where you put a balloon up somebody's nose and blow it up and move the cranium from the inside. He's doing, stem cells. He's doing a lot of different things. He said, and the third stool is forgiveness. Without that, nothing moves.
Wow. That's so exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. It is exciting to see what's happening and how it's moving. And he's actually got an opening into some political circles that are pretty influential in the health field. So it's going to be interesting to see what develops, So every little bit helps. I never did hear the show, but back, how long was that, Gene? Maybe 7 or 8 years ago, we had somebody at a workshop, and they said that they had been listening to Oprah Winfrey, and Oprah and the book "Why Is This Happening to Me Again" came up on the Oprah Winfrey show. It's like, hey, we're getting out there, it's moving.
That's good. Wow, that's impressive.
Every mind, heart, and being on the planet. That's the vision. Hitting critical mass. Thank you for picking up and doing a piece of it. You are appreciated.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. When she asked me to do a talk, I said, I can't do a talk. And then I thought, yes, I can do a talk. I have Michael's worksheet to introduce. That solved the problem right on the spot.
Sweet. Well, we'll see if it advances anymore. Maybe that conversation we were going to have with her will come around again, and we'll see what develops.
Yeah, good. Good idea. Yep.
All right. Well, anything else on your mind for today? How are all those boys doing?
I watched that movie, Show Me the Father. And
that's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, I watched it by myself to see if it was appropriate. And the messages are terrific. The delivery is more evangelical type of, it's like a personality difference. It's like and I had to sort of get myself through that. But what they were saying was fantastic. So I told my daughter about it. And I said to her, maybe you and Jacob would like to watch that at some point. And I don't know if she's done anything about it. She has some pretty big stuff going on in her own career. And Jacob is doing better. He's fragile. He told his mother he was thinking of having a drink. He wasn't an alcoholic, has never been, but he would like to have some wine. And she said, why don't you talk to your sponsor? Because it's another substance. And he called the sponsor, and the sponsor said, look, kid, you've been sober for 2 months now from any pot, weed, anything. And he said, if you take a drink, you're starting all over. It's another one of those things. And the kid said, the kid said, gosh darn it, phooey. But he did it. He said, okay.
That's awesome.
So,
sounds like he's committed. That's awesome.
He is committed. He's going back to school, we think, next year. He may have lost his scholarship. He had a nice scholarship from this particular school. And if he loses it, I'm not sure. I mean, Tim Bingham could help out, but he was managing on his own, which he wanted to do. And so he was very nervous about calling them because when he left, he really burned a lot of bridges. He was psychotic. He was belligerent, insulting and crazy. And he's figuring they might not want him back. I hope they understand not only that, but I hope they take some responsibility for allowing students to get that deeply into that kind of use of drugs without having any input. I'm really angry at all of them.
You're angry at something outside of you? Really?
I am. Yep.
That's interesting. I didn't know that was possible.
Michael.
I'll have to look into that.
Now, listen.
So here's, separate issue. Here's my thought for him. This sounds like it could be a perfect opening for him to be motivated, for you to do some work with him. And here's the piece of work I would see being beneficial. He's got a fear. You know, he has recall of what he did, what he said, how that all came down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this would be a place for him to actually grow in stature in their eyes, in the school's eyes. Mm-hmm. For him to do some responsibility communication, take responsibility, recognize and own what he did, and then that he went and did something about it. He's cleaned it up, and, you know, I even had a chance to have a glass of wine, and I refused because I am straight and sober now. That's who I am. And to take responsibility for what he said and what he did, and to make a commitment to something new, could make him shine in their eyes of, wow, what a turnaround. Because you don't see many drug addict, alcohol teenagers who just a couple of months later have turned around sufficiently to speak like an adult, to take responsibility and move forward with their lives. So that may just cement his scholarship on another level. That would be my thought.
That's a great thought. Next time he and I talk, I will put it to him. Yeah, and maybe even before I may initiate a talk. He isn't calling as often, which is a good sign. He was very dependent on, just leaned hard on mainly me because he was at a loss. But he's more on his own now, and he's working a job part-time in theater down there, teaching kids, evidently doing really well. Just put together a video of an audition that he was going to send to various places, including the school, and say, this is what I'm up to now, and, so on. So he is pulling together. Boy, I think about those two older boys. And the older one, too, Luke, I often talked about him. He asked me for money the other day, and I had to think about it, and I said, Luke, I can't give you money. If you need to get some clothes, I can help out with that, but I can't give you money. I'm so sorry. I hope you understand. And he wrote back and said, I do understand, and I love you. And that was it. He didn't push.
Sweet.
But he's been drinking.
Sweet.
Yeah, so he understands we're not supporting that, and he has to go somewhere else. He's deeply in debt, blown an inheritance, maxed his credit card, has a job, and his girlfriend has a job, and yet he has to write to me and say, I'm totally broke, my credit card is maxed, and can you help? And I'm saying no. Boy, that's hard.
Yeah. Helping him to be accountable is a gift. And reminding him that going back to drink is the beginning of a slippery slope that he might want to think twice about.
Well, he's already still drinking. He hasn't stopped.
Yeah.
This is Luke. No, yeah.
Right. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the other thought that comes, two other thoughts. One, has Tim Bingham seen the Show Me the Father?
No.
Might be useful to him, and you could put the caveat in if it's a little charismatic, and you can let go of that, but just listen to the message. And the other thought is that with the situation,
Jacob?
if Jacob's going to move in the direction of responsibility communication, there's a powerful show where Magda called in and shared what happened to her with her grandfather, and putting forward, these are the kinds of things that can happen. These are the kinds of things that ultimately we need to process, that drive us into places we'd rather not go, but because they're unconscious, we're not aware of it. Here's what healing looks like there, and that might just give him, help him to build the brain cells. Just listening to that little, I think it was a 22 or 25-minute segment, something like that, where she shared that. And if you don't have the link, I'll gladly send it to you, or Jeannie can put it in the notes. And if he gives that a listen, did it already. How shocking.
Say Jeannie, add it again.
So if you want to grab that link and send it to him.
Yeah, right. Thanks a lot. Good idea.
Yeah, we'll hold the space. You are making such monumental shifts in one generation.
We'll see. I hope so.
Well, you are. I mean, there's no doubt. There's no question about it. And I hear what you two have done, are doing, the results you're producing. I can remember back a while ago when you shared how your daughter had said, gee, something to the effect of, Dad's here. He's really here with us. And, that's a monumental change in one generation from fathers who are resented and conflicted with and all of that. That's huge. And that, I mean, there's so many kids out there right now in that age range, and, they think school's for drink and drugs, and they couldn't even start to have a conversation like this.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
You've made a shift. There's another young man who's he's not on the show very often these days. Once in a while he taps in, but back in the early years of the show, he was on it continuously and all the time. And this is a kid whose father was an alcoholic. He was an alcoholic, and the raging, screaming memes that would go on in their house, and memories of being 3 and father just crashing down on him, that sort of thing. And this young man, when he started doing this work, was single, and he was an alcoholic. He actually came to his first intensive just about a month after he came out of treatment. And now he's married with 2 children and a daughter that, he shared the last time he was on the show. He shared how his daughter, who I think at the time was 11, was marveling at how she still talked to her father and her mother, when most of the kids at school hate their fathers and their mothers. They're totally, completely in the dark with their fathers and mothers. And this 11-year-old comes home and reports to Dad and Mom. It's like, gee, I don't understand it, but I sure am glad that, we connect, we talk, we share, we have love for each other, in the vernacular of the culture. And, I mean, in one generation, going from a kid who has memories of being 3 and his father just violently crashing down on him to a child who at 11, with, the way the culture is and the way the kids are, and it's considered normal to have the terrible teens.
Yeah.
They're not experiencing that. And, that's like a monumental shift to make in one, when you realize how long has it taken to get to the qualities of insanity that we see in the culture. How many generations did it take to degrade to that? And to turn that around in one generation, that's like monumental.
Michael, it's good to hear that, because sometimes you talk about how many ancestors we have and all the messes they've been in, and I end up thinking there's no way we can clean this up. But you're saying something now quite different. Is a big
one generation.
Big changes. Wow.
Yeah.
And
one
it doesn't
generation.
have to be everything.
No.
You don't have to know all the trauma. You don't have to know all the people. Oh, that's nice to hear. Good. Hey, Michael, now that I've got you poor guys, I go from one thing to the next. But
that's exactly what we're here for, that we're not poor, we're rich because of that.
Okay. Well, I wanted to invite anyone who's listening to the show who might like to join my new private in my studio exercise business, half hour, 3 times a week, $5 per session, which goes to our refugee center as a donation. For me, you can't get the tax deduction because you're actually getting a service. You're getting a class.
Something for it, right. Exactly.
Yeah. But my class is filling up very nicely, and I don't want to have, I said 12 to 14. Now I'm going to say 20 people to 25 because not everybody will come on each time, but I have to be able to see everybody in the Zoom frames because I need to be able to yell at them, tell them to point their toe and stretch and so forth. So, but anybody who might be interested, it's 9:15 to 9:45, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Eastern time, starting in March. So.
And how do they sign up for it?
Well, they can just email me or come on Facebook, Susan Holzman Bingham, or email me, or it's Susan Bingham well, that's a long email. That's a pain to put.
Well, they can drop us a note so that we don't have to get your email involved. Jeannie's email,
okay.
if anybody's interested, jeannie@whyagain.org. And so that's an email we announce all the time. So if you want to do that, and then we'll just pass it along. And that keeps your private information private. And awesome.
That's great. The cool thing about Zoom, as you know, is I have somebody from Santa Fe, somebody from Colorado, somebody from California, one from Cape Cod, one from Carolinas, several local people. But it's just so fun to have people coming from all over. Of course, and the people on the West Coast have to get up really early, but some of them do anyway. So anyway, it's
well, maybe Bob in Australia will even show up. Who knows? There, Bob, there's the invitation.
Right. The midnight Pilates class. It's just stretching and strength work and trying to target all the muscle groups 3 times a week for a very short time. It's fun. It's a great little group of people.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yep.
Yay. Awesome.
Thanks, you guys. I sure took advantage of that platform.
Hey, let's go for it. That's what we're here for. We're here to support.
Great.
Absolutely. Pass it along.
Thanks.
Well, tell Tim we said hello and send our love. And I'd love if he watches Show Me the Father, to be fun to hear his thoughts on it.
Okay.
I thought the turnaround at the end was just mind-boggling.
You mean the boy whose father was his coach the whole time?
Yeah. We don't want to give it away, but it's mind-boggling. Yes.
It is mind-boggling. That was
just
the most miraculous thing.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty cool.
God is twinkling in there throughout.
Yes. Yeah, love is present and very powerfully brought forward in a very real way, very practical way.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you both.
Sweet. All right, young lady, we appreciate you.
Very much.
Too. Oh, Jeannie, take care. I was thinking about you and your dad.
Thank you. I'm going to head it out to see him as soon as the show's over.
Whoa, good luck.
Thank you. And we have one more hand up.
Great, let's go for it.
I'll introduce this caller and then just let everybody know to be with us tomorrow on the show, because we are going to answer a question that came through from the app, someone wanting to know about the worksheet. So we're going to go over the worksheet that is in the app. So join us tomorrow for that.
Yeah, we're going to cover both worksheets from the app. So
yes,
come play with us tomorrow.
So the caller is, I believe, Roma 808. You're on the air.
Aloha.
Aloha. Oh, boy. Well,
how are you, young lady?
When you said the word nasal cranial about that man, I thought, what in the world? And what does that do? What happens? Can you tell me more about that? That's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, you remember in the Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive, we spend a day on hands-on energy field work. And the hands-on energy field work, the thesis, and this chiropractor, I mean, we've worked together for over 25 years, and he's in perfect alignment with this. And what I came up with 3 decades ago or so was that, my background and the brain cells I have are that of a technician in the electronic world, physics as a side study. So what I've explained, if you remember from the intensive, is that the bony structure of the body, really, it's the muscles that hold the body up. The bony structure isn't designed to hold the body up. The bony structure is the antenna. And that brings the energy patterns into the structure that animate the so-called body. And important to understand that the shape of an antenna determines the frequencies it receives. So if I've got the TV antenna up on the roof and, you know, I'm in Buffalo, New York, and I get channel 3 and I get channel 4 and I get channel 7, I've got an antenna that's designed for Buffalo, New York. If somebody goes up on the roof of my house and bends all the arms in the antenna, I'm not going to get channel 2. It was actually channel 2 up there, 2, 4, and 7 very well. They're going to be snowy and fuzzy, and it's not going to work well. Or if I bring that antenna down here and put it on my roof, whole different set of frequencies here. The shape of an antenna determines the frequencies it receives. So I'm not going to get very good reception from that antenna that works so wonderfully in Buffalo, New York. In exactly the same way, if you think of, and if you just jump on an anatomy chart, take a look at all the fine bones in the head, the sinuses, the bones around. You know, people think when the baby's soft spot hardens that the head is fixed. But actually your head and mine and everybody else's is in continuous motion. It's a self-adjusting antenna. And so in the energy field work that we teach at Heartland, when we do an intensive, and we're actually looking at how, if we're going to do the Why Is This Happening to Me Again teacher training workshop, we're going to have to do that on Zoom. So we're working at how we're going to, or I'm looking at how we're going to do that training as part of the Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive when we do it on Zoom. So if you remember, the energy field work is how to support the antenna if it's been physically or emotionally traumatized, to let go of its trauma and return to its proper range of motion. So the head, there's a phase that's called flexion and a phase that's called extension. Those two different phases are totally, completely different antennas. And everywhere in between is a different shape or structure. The idea of the energy field work is to restore the range of motion to its proper range and allow any kind of trauma that's held in the system that restricts the range of motion to be released so that the antenna goes back to its full range of motion. So let's say, for instance, there's a bone in the head called the sphenoid bone. And that bone and its position, and I'm not saying it's this, I'm just using it as an example. As far as I know, nobody's ever mapped which parts of the antenna feed which parts of the structure. But let's say the movement and range of motion of the sphenoid bone is what brings in the frequencies that feed the liver. If you were a kid and Dad used to whack you on the head, and that's where he used to whack you, that bone's probably locked up, and that person has liver problems. Now, they'll drug and they'll surgery and they'll do all kinds of things to the liver, but the liver is not getting the energetic frequencies it needs, so it's not working properly. If you fix the sphenoid bone, the liver starts to work, or the lung, or the heart, or whatever cell in the structure. So in that energy field work that I developed back several decades ago, that's an external, using your hands to externally bring the whole antenna from head to toe back into its proper range of motion. The most intricate part of the antenna is those bones inside of the cranium. And the cranium itself, if you look, you might remember that you see almost like cracks, jagged cracks around the bone of a skeleton. Those jagged cracks are interlocking bone structures that allow those bones to move. So NCR, nasal, the nose, cranial, the cranial structure, release. And what they do, there are 3 different positions on each side of the nose. And what they do is they use a toothpick to insert a balloon up into one of those positions. There's a way that they test which adjustments have to be made. They insert a balloon and it's on a little squeeze bulb, and boom, inflate very quickly the balloon, and that impacts those bones and moves them very dramatically.
Like a spinal
it's a powerful way. It is like that, only it's like it's the internal action of what we're teaching in the energy field work. And so they complement one another in terms of restoring the integrity of the cranial structure. And the integrity of the cranial structure, if you go back into the in utero development of a fetus, there's a point where the jawbone actually sits on the hip bone in its developmental phases. They are resonating energy cavities. So what happens in the cranium happens in the pelvis. What happens in the pelvis happens to the cranium. So when you change one part of the antenna, because they're resonating structures in alignment with each other, you change the other part of the antenna. And it just can have so profound impacts on behavior, on physiology, on function, on everything. So that's what it is, and we're down to the last few seconds, so I'm just going to say thank you, everybody, for participation, your questions. Have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. Blessings.